Today we're going to talk about graphing over a restricted domain. Okay, a restricted domain. And that's when we're basically taking the full function, but we're only going to graph it over a specified interval. So it's kind of like cropping the graph of the function. So it starts out the exact same way. We're going to make our table. And our domain values come from whatever the restricted domain is. So in this case, this is -4 to 3. Ignore the less than symbols for just a moment. We'll deal with those in a second. So I have -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. And then again, from my calculator, I get the corresponding y values. -1, 4, 7, 8, 7, 4, -1. And while you're in the calculator, it would be a good idea to also click the graph button and actually look what this graph is supposed to look like. It'll tell you things like if it's supposed to be a smooth curve or if it's supposed to be straight lines. And it'll also give you a sense of where it should be on the graph. So it's one button. It takes 3 seconds, and it'll give you some information that's useful as you do this. Now, also while we're here, we have to deal with the fact that we have to add open and close circles depending on our symbols. So I see that at -4, that's not included, whereas 3 is included. So that tells me that -4, -8 is going to be an open circle, and 3, -1 is going to be a closed circle. And now I'm going to go to my graph and I'm going to start graphing. So I've got -4, -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is going to be an open circle. And I'm going to have a closed circle at 3, -1. And the rest of my dots are going to be just normal dots. So -3, -1, -2, 4, -1, 7, and then 0, 8. And then we're going to come back down this other side. Notice I didn't put any dots outside. Now, this means I want all the outputs, uh, I want all the outputs for all the inputs between -4 and 3. So that includes decimals and fractions and all that stuff. So this is why I have to draw the line. And this is a nice smooth curve. This is a quadratic function, so it's a nice smooth curve. I do not extend past the open circle or closed circle. I do not extend past that. Okay. It's kind of like cropping. So I've cut out everything that's beyond these 2 points. I only want to see the graph from -4 to +3, and that's it. Now, when we're stating the range, as we now know, range is bottom to top. So if you think about it, this is my lowest value. And this is my highest value right here. So I'm going to answer with interval notation. Interval notation is basically synonymous with a compound inequality. So I'm going to do interval notation. So my range here, my lowest value is -8, but it doesn't include -8. I shouldn't have put that bracket there. It doesn't include -8, so that gets a parentheses because it's an open circle. So it goes to -7.999 repeating, but it doesn't actually hit -8. And then the highest value is +8. Whoops, +8. And that does actually touch +8 because it goes right through that point, 0, 8, and then starts coming back down. So now if I want to do domain and range, so we're going to do a domain and range for each of these. And we're going to recall, just like the last video, that domain is left to right, range is bottom to top. And this time, we're going to be responding with interval notation each time. So domain is left to right. So the leftmost point on this one is going to be -3. included, and the rightmost point is 2, not included. So my domain is -3 to +2, and +2 gets a parentheses because that's an open circle. Range is bottom to top. So there's my bottom, and there's the top. Lowest value is -5, and it's included because this is a closed circle, as you can see. And the top is 4, and it goes right through that point, so that's also a bracket. Next one, got -3, not included, open circle all the way to 1, so my domain is left to right. Parentheses at -3 because of the open circle all the way to 1. That gets a bracket. And then bottom to top. So there's the bottom and there's the top. We got to be careful here. So the lowest value is -4, and it definitely touches -4. So that gets a bracket. Now, the highest value is 0, and you might be thinking parentheses because this is an open circle, but it touches here. So even though it doesn't touch here, it does touch here. So this actually gets a bracket. And then for the last one, domain left to right, -2 to, hey, I have an arrow on this one. So this goes forever to infinity in the right-hand direction. In the right-hand direction, this is going to infinity. So this goes from -2 to infinity. And then when we're talking bottom to top, this goes from 0. And then this arrow makes it go to infinity in the upward direction. So this is going to be, I touch 0 and I go to infinity, and infinity gets a parentheses always. So domain left to right, range bottom to top. And when we are doing restricted domains, we have to concern ourselves with open and closed circles. And we have to draw the line, but do not extend past the line. Stop at the open and closed circle. You only get the arrows if it's the situation like this, where it's restricted on one side, sorry about that, where it's restricted on one side but not on the other. That happens on occasion. So that would get an arrow only on the one side. You'll see that in the practice. That's it.